Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
Me, Rob, getting you a fresh start to that new draft coming up.
Oh, it's time, guys. We are only 1 month away today from the NFL draft, guys. Just 1 month. And it's time to start going over all the players. Like we said we would do, we're going to load up. We're going to do players. I want to break last year's record. We did like 150. I can get the exact count, but 150 players we did last year. Well, we're going to do 30 running backs alone, guys, because this is a absolute packed running back class. We got 14 for you tonight. We got another 16 we're going to do on a Wednesday here. So if you're about running backs and you want to learn about the running backs coming out, and you agree with us that the Giants need to get a running back in this draft because we need a cheap running back. We need someone to pair long-term with Tracy, and we need somebody not named Devin or Singletary.
Wow.
He's here one more year. Let's be honest, guys. We overpaid for him, too, on top of that. So, and I think it's safe to say that Eric Gray is not the answer. I think he's definitely safe to say. So, let's get right into it, guys. Now, this is not in any particular order for the most part, guys. So, it may seem that way to a certain degree because... to be honest, I'm working off a list of top 30 and adjusting as we go. So there's going to be some that'll be more top end tomorrow, but a lot of the top end we got today, because we did purposely a shorter amount of players this episode, so we can talk a little bit more about some of the bigger names, because obviously some of the bigger names, a little more discussion about than some of the smaller names there.
Just a tad bit.
Just a tad bit. So if your name is John Michael Hemmerschlemmer Smith, that's one of the bigger names.
Ooh.
His name is my name too, by the way.
That's just crazy talk right there.
I know. Whenever we go out, the people always shout.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's get right into it. The biggest name in the running back class here, by far. Not even a close second. Let's be very clear about that there. And that's Ashton Jeanty of Boise State. Who would have thought we'd have a big name from Boise State coming in?
Boise.
They've been like the bluegrass school forever. They had a couple of, decent players coming out, but a top end talent is something you don't really see often from Boise State here. But Ashton's 21 years old, 5'9", 215 pounds, from Jacksonville, Florida. Comes from a military family as well. Spent some of his childhood over in Europe, actually. Even started playing high school football in Europe before literally asking his parents to come back to America so we can get more opportunity to, get a college scholarship and everything for football, because obviously not a lot of college scouts going to Italy to watch military families that are playing football. Just surprisingly enough, they don't seem to get that very often. It's amazing.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They brought over football scouts, but it was spelled different.
First season there, 22, he had 821 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1,347 yards and 14 touchdowns. Now that alone is a damn good year, guys. Right? That's a damn good year.
Yeah.
This year, 24, 375 carries, 2,601 yards, 6.9 yards per carry average, 29 touchdowns, 23 catches, 138 yards and a touchdown as well, a 94.9 PFF grade. Which, goddamn, if you're in the 80s, you're doing good. He got like a 95. That's ridiculous. Finished second overall in the Heisman Trophy voting. Was the 24 Maxwell Award winner, Doak Walker Award winner, Earl Campbell, Tyler Rose Award winner, consensus first-team All-American, was a first-team All-American last year, 2-time Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time first-team All-Mountain West. It's a lot of accolades. It's about as many as you can get.
Pretty much.
Yeah, just missing the Heisman, which was this close. The Heisman.
That's so close.
So close. Now, one of the big things that I always talk about on this show, and I know, Rob, you pretty much typically agree with me, but feel free to disagree if you want. I don't just judge what a player does, but I judge what they do against, what kind of competition they're playing. Now, it is very safe to say that Boise State is not a powerhouse school, Rob, right? Am I crazy? Am I saying that? Is that fair?
I mean, you're crazy, but not for saying that.
I mean, it's not like they're Alabama, Georgia, or LSU, like, Ohio State, Michigan. Like, they're not that kind of level. They're not a small school. It's not like he came out of like some weird college no one ever heard of here. But they don't exactly play the toughest teams typically. So I knew that was going to come up. So I went ahead and got a list here for you guys of the bigger teams. This is ranked teams. Teams that are ranked at the end of the season he faces season. Versus Oregon. 25 carries, 192 yards, 7.7 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Damn good game.
Yep.
Versus UNLV. Now, we played UNLV twice. Once in October, 33 carries, 128 yards, 3.8 yard per carry average, and a touchdown. Volume game, I would call that. Not the greatest yards per carry, not the greatest overall, but a volume game. You still got 128 yards. In December, he played them again. 32 carries, 209 yards, 6.5 yards per carry average, and a touchdown. Safe to say he picked something up in that prior game. The one bad game he had all season long, at least, and I'm saying bad because it's bad for him based on what he's done prior. Versus Penn State, 30 carries, 104 yards, 3.5 yards per carry average. Not a great game, but that's by far his worst game, guys. By far.
I mean, he's done plenty of times going for 60 plus yards per run.
Yeah, well, about 60 yards per run. How about that?
Well, not per run. No, I'm saying per run. But there's been many of runs.
This man rushed for 1,000 yards in one season. One game, even.
I was about to say he did over 1,000 in one season, but
yeah, I mean, it's hard to judge him right now because I feel like, if anything, and this is going to be rough for me to say as a Giants fan, if anything, all the players we're going to talk about in the running back room should be calling Saquon Barkley up, calling Derrick Henry up, and purposely going out of their way to thank them. Because I'm not going to call it a full-on renaissance of running backs. But people saw what the Eagles did with Saquon. People saw what the Ravens did with Derrick Henry. And they're going to look at it and go, maybe we need to get one of those.
And a lot of the guys we're going to talk about, especially the next few as well, are very similar styles.
Well, and they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Because when you take a running back early, you're paying. Remember, that was one of the big things in Saquon. Like, you take him second overall, you're going to have to pay him because he's now a second overall guy. That's not a small contract. So here's the pros and cons here real quick on him. And obviously, you can imagine, most of them are pros. Every down back, though, he will need some work on receiving and pass protection. He's shown some ability to do that as far as receiving and pass protection. Just wasn't asked to do it a lot there at Boise State. So definitely some fine tuning there. Amazing balance. Shakes off contact. I mean, it's like people hit him and he just keeps on going like nothing ever happened. It's crazy. Gets ahead of blockers at time, though, which is one issue. Like, we talked about it before, patience with the running back is key. And it's a very fine line between patience and over patience, meaning you're waiting too long and the hole's now starting to close back up again. You lost that window. So sometimes he's a little early in hitting the hole there. But again, obviously you look at the numbers, not too early.
Yeah.
It's more of an occasional, like once in a blue moon, like, whoa, that could have been a good play, but you took it a little bit too quick there. Now, the biggest concern I have personally is the carries. 594 carries the last 2 years. That's kind of scary. Like, is that going to shorten his career in the NFL? Because we talk about all the time, it's not always necessarily how many years you've been a running back, but sometimes it's also how many carries you've had as a running back. If you look at a lot of the older running backs that stay in this league a long time, minus Frank Gore, because that man was just an anomaly. Most of the guys that last forever, like the Darren Sproles kind of guys that have a role in an offense but aren't a feature back and can keep going for years and years because of that. The guys that play into their 32, 33 kind of age at that point, because even that's getting a little old for running back there. It's with most positions keep going, but that's what it boils down to. So I don't know. That's the one thing that scares me. That's not that scares you, Rob, or you think that I'm just overthinking this?
I mean, you have right to be scared by that, but like when it comes to the college aspect of it, like I don't know. They will, whoever gets this guy, he's going to be ready to go week 1 come the season coming up. I mean, they're probably going to plug him in, and hopefully they limit his snaps right away, because he's a guy that will be getting those 30 carries per run. He's going to be someone like Derrick Henry, Barkley, kind of mixed with maybe like a little bit of a, I don't know where else to go with that.
See, my concern is he Todd Gurley? Like, is that where he's going to be because of all the carries? That's a ton of carries. You look at guys in the NFL, when you see someone hit the 300 carry mark, you're like, woo. And you see a decline because a lot of those guys can't take that kind of hits. He took 300 carries a year for 2 years straight. He was the offense at Boise State.
He was, but he also got a lot of touchdowns, so he wasn't getting hit every time. He had a good ability to get out of the way. So
I don't disagree. He got a lot of touchdowns, but I can't look at his numbers and go, well, he got a ton of touchdowns. That's not probably not there. It's not like he got 75% touchdowns here. I mean,
just saying every hit, every time he ran.
Okay, fine. Let's say he took 520 carries. Okay, I mean, like, I'm still saying, like, there's still a lot of hits in that, and that's going to scare you a little bit because of the position he plays and because of what you know. What I wonder is going to happen though is there going to be a team that thinks they are a player away, a running back away from winning right now, and do they go, you know what? Let's get this guy. Let's be this last puzzle piece. And I don't know who that's going to be there. I mean, I could see a team like Cincinnati trying to get him there, but I don't know where he's going to go. And that's part of the question because he's such a dynamic player. Does someone go, you know what? It's early, but look at that talent.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's going to go to a team that thinks they're a player away, that's legit a player away, because I don't think he's going to make it that far down the drafts. And where he's going to get picked is he's going to be dynamic.
Yeah.
And help the team, but I don't think it's going to be one of those teams that think, oh, we're that good, but we're still picking pretty high in this draft.
I'm looking right now at the top picks in this draft here, and you got Chuba Hubbard that just got extended in Carolina at 8. That's so I wouldn't take him there. The Jets are in love with the tight end. So before that top 6 picks, you already know where that's probably going. The Saints, would they do it? The Bears? I mean, imagine putting Caleb Williams and Jeanty together. Like, that's insane. The Niners, well, they got CMC. I mean, would they do that? The Cowboys would probably freaking love to have him.
Probably.
I think somewhere the top 10 is probably where he should be talent-wise, I think. But I think he'll be at the very worst case a top 15 pick as Rob will sneeze his webcam off somehow. I'm not sure how the electronics behind that, but you also got your mic off apparently here. There you are.
Let's go for the mute. I missed it.
So what do you think? Is that around where you're thinking as well, a top 10, top 15 kind of talent there? Do you think there might be some slippage because of the position?
No, I think he's going to get grabbed top 15. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 10, but he's just that dynamic of a player.
I think someone's going to trade down for him personally. I do think that there's a team that's going to go, you know what? This is the missing piece. We need him. Let's go get him. And I don't know who that's going to be because I think it's going to be some kind of team we're probably not even thinking of, to be very frank with you. I don't know. So I'm not even trying to guess at who.
Atlantic Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons get another running back now. All righty. Let's get to our next one here, guys. Omarion Hampton, who Ooh, I mean, he got a lot of hype, I think, last year because obviously Drake May coming out. A lot of people were watching North Carolina tape more than usual. But he continued again this year without having Drake May there. He was literally the entire offense for North Carolina. It's kind of crazy. 22 years old, 6'1", 220 pounds from Forest City, North Carolina. First year in 22, 401 yards, 6 touchdowns. 23, 1,504 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's that season, like I said last year, that we were all watching, could watch the Drake May film. 24 this year, 281 carries, 1,660 yards, 5.9 yards per carry average, 15 touchdowns, 38 catches, 373 yards, 2 touchdowns, 88.4 PFF grade there. A 2-time first-team All-American, 2-time first-team All-ACC, and guys, he's a fun guy to watch play. Talk about a speed-power combo, exactly, dynamic, forceful runner, burst through contact, and he's an every down back that just, you look at him, like I said, look at the receiving difference between him and Jeanty. Like, if you're a guy that's trying to talk yourself out of Jeanty, besides the carries, you can look at the receiving part and say, he's not that polished as a receiver. I like having a more modern offense. Hampton's your guy then. Like, he's got that.
He's like, because most people are going to be sold on Jeanty. But I think, on my mind, like, Hampton's a clear number 2 in this situation. Who I wouldn't be surprised, depending on the team, he might get picked first in the running back class.
Oh, I don't think that at all.
I wouldn't be surprised because just like you just said, he's more of the modern day.
Yes.
Granted, the Barkley and Derrick Henrys have a place in this NFL, and so will Jeanty. But Hampton's more of that, like, in the backfield. You put it, he had 30 catches just last year, but he had 67 in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So, like, he's more of your Alvin Kamara kind of running back. He's a guy that's going to get back there, but he's got a little more weight and a little more speed to him. He's very dynamic when he breaks tackles. If you watch him, he's always going forward.
See, and that's part of the concern, though, for me. Because if you watch the tape, he's taking some massive hits where he goes flying into the air. Like, you can't do that in the NFL on a consistent basis and have a long career.
No, he's probably going to be coached out of some of that, but you see that fight. Listen, you can coach a lot of things. You can't coach the fight for the extra yard. And you watch his replays, you just watch just the highlights of the film, you watch almost everything. He's fighting for extra yards consistently.
Yeah. He's going to be really good.
He gets a lot of touches that way.
Yes.
There was the one who was he again? Was it Oregon? There was one run he did. It was like 64 yards or something. Broke 2 tackles, and then at the end zone gets hit like he's about to go down in the sticks and spins around and gets the touchdown.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, I would not be shocked at all if there's a team that likes Jeanty but goes, you know what? I really prefer, like, I need a defensive tackle. Let me go ahead and get one here. I need a corner. Let me get one here. And then somebody tries to trade back into the tail end of the first round to get Hampton, where they have him for 5 years at that point there, because that's a key thing when you're a running back. So you can keep a running back on team control on a rookie deal for 5 years. You don't have to worry about paying him if he's as good as I think Hampton's going to be. But I do think late first round, early second round is where I got him going at that point there. And like I said, I think he's going to be a smart pickup for a team. I really do think that there. This is, like I said, there's a lot of backs in this draft, like we said, guys. Hampton is one that, if you're going to pick who's your definite going to make it in the NFL and has the highest potential to be a star, it's Jeanty. Let's be honest. That's where he's at. Yeah. But Hampton is not far behind, guys. It's not like here's 1, here's 2 down here. It's like here's 1 and here's 2. It's lower, but it's not like.
He's got a lot of dynamic, and he's got a lot of versatile like playmaking skills out here. Like, because just the ability to catch the ball in the backfield and extend that plays. He's got, I think, was the 3rd highest after contact, extra yak yards. Coming out here and get the first 3 guys we talk about is pretty much the 1, 2, 3. So it's impressive to see what he can do. And yes, the one concern is taking all these crazy hits, but he is 221, you said?
Yeah, he's a decent size. It's not that. It's the flying through the air. It doesn't take much for you all of a sudden to go ahead and make one wrong move and go ahead and mess something up. Like, it really doesn't. Like, I'm going to give you a dark horse candidate for him. No pun intended. The Broncos. Like, this is a guy, you mentioned Kamara. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily Kamara-like because I don't think he's as good a receiver as Kamara is, but I do think he's a complete back, which is something that we know Sean Payton likes. They got Estemi, they got out of Notre Dame last year, who's the kind of bruising back. So you can kind of take some of that off of there for those big hits that he's been taking there. Hampton's been taking in North Carolina. I think he's a good fit. I think they were 20, I think they are. I want to say 20, yeah. They're 20 in this draft. So that's not a horrible place necessarily for Hampton. If you like a running back that much. Again, I think you're going to see running backs valued a little bit more in this draft because of what happened this past year. I do think that's going to be a little bit of a resurgence of the position. Is it going to be, like it was back in the day? No, probably not. Probably not. But it's going to be a little bit less of an afterthought, I feel like now. So that's the way the NFL is. Somebody succeeds at something, somebody else will try to go ahead and
it's copycat league.
That's just exactly 100%. So, all right. Next up, we got Quinshawn Judkins. Now, here's a guy that weird story, guys. So he's at Ohio State, part of a split back system. So he's sharing carries with another guy that we're going to get to tomorrow. 21 years old, 6 foot even, 219 pounds, from Pike Road, Alabama. And again, Pike Road was not the name of the road; it's the town. It's a little confusing. He started his career at Ole Miss. 22 his freshman year, 1,567 yards and 16 touchdowns. In 23 at Ole Miss, 1,158 yards and 15 touchdowns. Damn good 2 seasons to start.
Yep.
Then goes to Ohio State. Like I said, splits carries. This past year, 194 carries, 1,060 yards, 5.5 yards per carry average, 14 touchdowns, 22 catches, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 88.8 PFF grade. Now, remember we talked about that guys like Jeanty is getting, about 300 carries per season. 194. So call it 200. So that means his 1,000 yards is equivalent of 1,500 yards with Jeanty. So he's not in that kind of category as far as production-wise. He's a better receiver than he is, though. And again, you're going to get some teams I think you're not going to like Jeanty because of the lack of receiving abilities. There'll be some guys who don't care, like give me an old school, like hard-nosed kind of a running back. And I love that personally. I want those days back again. But there'll be some that won't like him for that reason and say, hold off, we'll get a running back later. And this is one of the guys they're going to look at there. 2022 SEC Freshman of the Year, Connolly Trophy winner that year as well. First team All SEC, both 22 and 23. This past year, third team All Big Ten, which is crazy. Third team. But again, it's the splitting of the carries. People started looking past this kind of stuff. I'm looking at a guy who literally went to the 2 toughest, conferences in college football and showed dominance at both.
Yeah.
I don't care about the fact that he barely covered 1,000 yards. He barely covered 1,000 yards with a 5.5 yards per carry average.
Split in time.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's really good at short bursts. He wears down defenses. He's good at short yardage and goal line situations there. He's patient as well, but sometimes just a little bit too patient. We talked about earlier with Jeanty. He's kind of the reverse, kind of hit the hole a little bit too early once in a blue moon. This is a guy that waits for it to develop so much sometimes that it's starting to break down again on him.
Yeah, he also has the ability to, I guess, he has a really fast burst, but his acceleration isn't that great.
Yes,
when it comes to talking about him.
Yeah, he's not a home run threat by any stretch of the imagination. He is also a one-cut back, meaning he's going to make one move. He's not going to be the guy that's going to shake around like a Saquon or a Barry or something like that. Like, that's not what he is. He's one cut, one move, and go. And then he's not going to break it for a 60-yard run. He's going to go ahead and get a consistent 5-6 yards a carry. Like, that's what he's going to do, Obviously, in the NFL, you got to think that's going to go down probably to 4 or 5 yards, just his life. But if he can do that, that's a solid running back there. He also does have trouble shaking off defenders. So, like, if you get him in the open field, whether it be a catch or a run, he's got one guy to beat. He's not going to be the guy that you're going to like, oh, well, he's going to beat this guy easily. Like, there's some running backs that are just special, and you watch them and you're like, yeah. Like LaDainian Tomlinson, when he was in the open field with one guy to make a miss, that guy was going to miss. I feel like those defenders were like, let's just slow him down enough for some help to get here. Like that's the way it was. And it's like he's not going to be that kind of guy. He's that guy that you got one guy to miss, and you're going, oh please beat this guy. Like that's just the way he is.
Guy.
He's also, like I said, he's okay at receiving. He's not great at receiving. He does need a little bit of work on pass protection as well. I think he's probably best as the power back in a 1-2 combo. This is a guy I don't think is going to be a workhorse back per se. That's not a knock on him. That's just the way the NFL is nowadays. There's very few guys who are workhorse backs that are going to come out to the NFL and be that. Now, he's a guy that could prove me wrong because, again, he didn't get the chance to necessarily do that in Ohio State, and people kind of forget what he did, Ole Miss there for a couple of years. But, it reminds me of? Remember when Auburn had Cadillac Williams, Ronnie Brown, and our guy, Brandon Jacobs?
Oh.
All three of them in the same college. Like, that's the kind of system, like, you got to look at and go, you know what? This has worked before. You go back 20 years ago. I should more than that, even like 30 years ago almost now. Miami had, like, amazing. They had, like, Clinton Portis and Frank Gore on the same team, like, that kind of thing. Like, it does happen, guys. So I think he's going to drop a little because of splits, though. I think he's going to be like second or third round, but I think he could be a guy that if you're confident in him enough and you give him a chance, I really do think he could surprise people and not be as good as like a Hampton or a Jeanty, but not too far a drop off as you might think from a Hampton specifically.
Yeah. It comes to the newer players. They kind of remind me of a not so good version of Breece Hall.
I would say a more agile Breece Hall.
Yeah, Breece Hall is more down the middle, but he's also really good with the catch out of the backfield compared to.
Yeah. I just think he's got a little more agility to him than Breece Hall does. So,
yeah.
All right. Next up, guys, a guy we've talked about briefly here before, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa here. Now, we talked about him because remember, we signed his running backs coach as the running backs coach for the Giants. And that started some speculation of would the Giants be interested in Caleb Johnson. 21 years old, 6 foot even, 225 pounds from Cincinnati, Ohio, the home of spaghetti chili. I don't know why it is. It's weird. 22, 779 yards, 6 touchdowns, 23, 463 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then this year goes off. 240 carries, 1,537 yards, 6.4 yards per carry average, 21 touchdowns. And it's scary because I feel like because of how bad Jeanty's numbers are like so elevated, you look at that and go, well, that's not that good. I mean, he can almost get 30 like the other guy. But 21 touchdowns this season, guys. That's still almost 2 a game. It's ridiculous. 22 catches, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 86.5 PFF grade. 2024 consensus All-American, Big Ten running back of the year, and first team All Big Ten. Like I said, for a one-hit wonder, and I say it that way because like he wasn't a star until this year, he had a huge hit. That's a pretty damn good season there. Good size, great vision, makes the right decision, and makes it quick. Great contact balance, quick acceleration. Doesn't have the home run speed, though. Elusiveness, not very great either. So, like, he's not the guy that's going to shake, make a move, and he's going to fool the defenders. He's a north-south kind of runner that may make a little bit of move to the outside or cut back inside, and he'll make that right move. But that move will get him another yard or two, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not going to get him the 60, 70-yard runs, He's also bad in pass protection. That's the biggest knock on him. Like, and
he tries.
But, yeah, he does try. He's just not good. But I feel like out of all the knocks on rookie running backs, Rob, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like that's the biggest knock that I can ignore. And not because it's not important, but I feel like it's like tight ends and running backs both have issues when they come into the NFL pass protection. I'm not sure what it is specifically, why it's not of a bigger focus in college specifically. But it's like I feel like that's the one thing you look at in a lot of these guys, and that's one of the knocks always on them, is they can't do pass protection well. And Caleb Johnson definitely falls into that category.
Yeah, and that's something that could be coachable. It's normally what happens is the want to do so isn't there, and that's not the case when it comes to Caleb.
Yeah, no, he definitely I feel like wants to.
So yeah, right coaching like that. I guess something that you could learn and teach.
Now, the only other knock on him is he was only used lightly as a receiver in, like I said, a very limited role. So he may be better than we know there. He may not. It's kind of an unknown commodity in the passing game for him at that point. So I think there'll be people that will assume he's not, because if he was good at it, why would they not use him?
But then again,
some offenses don't do it like that. That's just the way it is. So I got like a round 2, round 3 grade on him. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick. It's just a matter of where he goes and if a run starts going on running backs, which sounds weird to say compared to what they've done lately, but there's just so many good running backs that I feel like somebody might go, I want this one specifically. I'm going to get him now. And then somebody goes, oh, hold on. He got this one. Next guy on the board is my guy. And next thing you know, a run starts on running backs, which would be weird compared to what we've had the last couple of years.
Yeah, a running back train.
Yeah. Like I said, I could see it happening, though. I really can. So, all right. Next up, a guy who wins Name of the Year. Rob, you got this one.
Oh, yeah. Facial Teuton.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Oh, my God. Anybody watching the show knows that Rob and me always miss each other because Rob has trouble with some of the names always. We even spell them out phonetically. It's just sometimes on the screen, which we definitely did for this name. But I
never learned how to read.
But we had to celebrate the Jersey boy here. He goes to Virginia Tech, 22 years old, 5'9", 206 pounds, from Paulsboro, New Jersey. Jersey boy. So therefore, this man knows all about good Jersey food, all about good Jersey culture, and it'd be kind of interesting for the Giants to get a Jersey boy as a running back, wouldn't it? It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So he started off his college career at North Carolina A&T State University. Now, if anybody's wondering, A&T is not a misspelling of AT&T. It's agricultural and technical is what that stands for. First year was 21, 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. 22, 1,363 yards and 13 touchdowns there. So safe to say, man amongst boys. Very small school, obviously not known for getting stars out of. So he switches out to Virginia Tech. 23, 863 yards and 10 touchdowns. 24 this past year, 183 carries, 1,159 yards, 15 touchdowns. 23 catches, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 77.4 PFF grade. This guy, combine warrior. This guy is fastest 40 of all the running backs of the combine. Literally had the best performance of any running back in the combine. And a lot of people were thinking like day 3 pick for this guy until that combine happened. And now they're wondering, did Virginia Tech not give him the chance to show what he can do fully? Now, to me, you look at the carries, 183 carries. That's a pretty low carry at that point, Like that's not a ton. So we got 3/4 what a guy like Caleb Johnson got. Was that part of the issue? It's a legit question. I mean, I feel like this is a kid that people are looking at going, was he used right? And every single draft, there's these guys that go in that category of, were they used right? And sometimes they were, and they're just not as good on the field as you would think based on what they do at the combine.
Yeah.
And
just like you said, there's definitely guys out there that are combine warriors. Like, how many times, when it comes to quarterbacks, because everyone understands quarterback as well, like, sometimes you see like some kind of great quarterback like accuracy in the combine being fantastic. Marcus Russell looking at you, and then get on the field and play poop.
Yeah. And what's weird about him is we talk about the combine, like I said, fastest 40 times. You go, okay, this guy's going to be a quick guy, an elusive guy, a home run threat guy. He's got the home run threat, but what's weird is he doesn't have some of the agility stuff, the cut back when you watch the tape and stuff like that, that you would expect to have based on what he did in the 40 time. So this is why I'm saying, like, I feel like he is definitely that guy that you're like, is it coaching? And
Yeah.
not knocking Virginia State, but again, it's not exactly the massive schools. It's kind of like the B tier school. I'm not trying to say it's like C or D or something like that. It's better than like Boise State we talked about with Jeanty, but I feel like this is a guy that you need to know if he's coachable, and then decide if the coaching was the issue. And if coaching is the issue, the very first thing you work on is ball security, by the way, because he definitely had a little case of the oopsies and the dropsies while running, not while catching. That's a bad issue. That's a bad issue to have. So, but like I said, this is a guy climbing up boards, and I think he'll be a day 2 pick. But he needs to get a little time. He needs a little season.
A little season on it. A little old bay.
A little bam.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it this way, too. I think somebody's actually draft him early because of the combine.
Probably.
Because, again, he was going to be a day 3 pick. I think someone's going to draft him early because of that. And I've always said, and I'll say it again, do not let your eyes fool you watching the film because of what happens at the Underwear Olympics. You have years of tape of this kid. You know what he is. And I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be working as role in a system. One of the running backs kind of thing. I don't think he'll ever be a lead horse. I don't think he'll be that guy. But I think he's going to have a nice, decent career as that guy that every so often random games goes off, and other games randomly he kind of disappears. When he's on, he's going to be on. When he's off, he's going to be off.
Yeah. Which flippity flop flip.
Flippity flop. All right, let's get into one that I feel like this is a running back who has a huge, massive group of people that are just diehard fans of him. Guys that'll swear to you that he is the most underrated running back in this entire draft. I'm not sure they're right, but let's get into it.
Yeah.
Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, 20 years old, 5'11", 201 pounds from Grezmar, Louisiana. 22, 397 yards, 6 touchdowns. 23, 604 yards, 7 touchdowns. This past season, when he breaks out. 258 carries, 1,491 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, 20 catches, 143 yards, 90.5 PFF grade. SEC Offensive Player of the Year this year. Second team All-American. First team All-AC. But there's some issues. But there's also a lot of greatness. Amazing balance, great vision, explosive. A lot of good things there. But he's also unknown commodity as a receiver. Like I said, only 143 yards this year. Wasn't really used in that. A little smaller on his size. There are some people that do think that his playing weight might be just a hair under 200 even. And then they gained a little bit there, trying to make sure he's over the 200 pounds because that's a big number sometimes. Kind of weird, like that quarterback that's like 6'3" instead of 6'1". All of a sudden, it's a massive difference. It's 2 inches. It's that kind of thing. 201 pounds, you're barely considered big enough to be a running back in the NFL. Let's be very frank on that. And that makes you wonder, will that be an issue? Can he take the hits? He had some fumble issues at Tennessee. Is that because of the size? Was he having trouble because he's got guys that are 40, 50 pounds bigger than him hitting him? And I'm not talking about the linemen. I'm talking about some of the linebackers and edge players.
Yeah.
Some of the linemen's got 100 pounds on them.
I was going to say, some lineman's going to have 130 pounds on him.
Yeah, like that's a concern. That's a concern. And that's why I don't think he's going to be as good as some people think, is purely because of his size. Purely because something, quite frankly, he has absolutely no control over. But you have a small receiver that is an unknown commodity, not used very much as a receiver. That's usually a big question mark. That's when you want your receiver to be in that kind of role. We talked about Darren Sproles earlier as an example of a guy who played a long time. Darren Sproles made a career in this league by catching the ball, by being a returner, doing the things that you need good hands for and good elusiveness in open space. We don't know if Sampson has that. And the size may limit him a little bit. So I think he's going to be a pick like the round 3 around there. But I do think he has a guy that I don't want to say like the Doug Flutie of running backs kind of guy, but he's a guy that might surprise people and break the mold, so to speak, where you go, you know what? That was stupid to worry about the 201-pound thing.
I mean, listen, we thought Miami was stupid for picking up A-Chain, but as long as that dude's healthy, he's been fantastic. But that's his issue.
But when he's been healthy.
That's what I'm saying, but that's his issue, is availability.
Yeah, the best ability?
Availability.
Here we go. All right, let's talk about a guy who's the complete opposite. We got Cameron Scatterbo.
Scatterbo.
It's like every time I hear it, I think like Scotty doesn't know. I don't know why. It just goes in my head.
Scotty doesn't know. Scotty.
Arizona State, 23 years old, 5'11", 215 pounds. And it's crazy. It's only a 15-pound difference like than the previous guy. We're talking about a big bruiser compared to a guy who was barely big enough to make the NFL potentially. It's amazing the differences sometimes. 23, 784 yards, 9 touchdowns. This past season, 293 carries, 1,711 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, 21 touchdowns, 45 catches for another 605 yards, guys. 3 touchdowns, 93.3 PFF grade. That's amazing production for a guy that literally came out of nowhere. Like, that's 2,300 complete yards, guys, so far. Like, that's a lot. He's an old school power back, downhill runner, no fear of contact. But if we said a good receiver with that, that's a weird combo. Usually your power backs are not your receiving backs. Like, he has that ability. He's that guy you're going to hit up the middle with a short route, going to try to take it there. Like, he's got that kind of ability. He was an every down back in college.
Yeah.
His biggest issue is going to be some of his athleticism, though. Speed is a concern. He's got limited burst. Can he make the cuts? Can he make guys miss that are that much faster in the NFL? I don't know. I don't think he's going to be as dynamic because of that, because I feel like he's just barely fast enough for college. I feel if he lost just a little bit of speed, even in college, he'd have trouble. He's that close there. And because of that, I think he's probably best like a 1-2 combo guy. I think he's going to be that speed guy that is a bruiser guy that you try to, get with a speed guy. That's why we've drafted him before in our mocks. I think him and Tracy would be a great duo. Perfect. And imagine if both those guys in the backfield able to catch the ball, former receiver and a guy who just caught 600 yards of receiving yards there. That's pretty damn good. So
yeah,
I'm thinking third, fourth round for him probably, and I think probably fourth because of the speed. I think the speed issue is going to scare people off. I really do.
I do, but I do think there's going to be a run for some quarterback for some running backs, and I do think he's going to go probably third. So.
I don't know about third. I don't think he's going to be necessarily. I think his name's going to carry him a little bit there with some people, but a lot of people are going to look at the tape and just go, you know what, we got to stick to what there actually is and what we know. And I'm just not sure if the speed is what they're going to see enough to make them interested. I think it's going to scare them off a little bit. But all right, guys, let's pay the bills real quick. We are halfway through. We're 45 minutes and only halfway through. Woo.
Whoa.
We got a second show of just running backs to do, guys. This is how crazy we get into the draft. So
enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Alrighty, guys. And of course, if you want to go ahead and support the program, you can also do so by sending stars on Facebook or doing a super chat on YouTube or the freeway. Just go ahead and hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button there. Let some friends know about the show here. Again, we suck at marketing, guys. Point blank. Wasn't for y'all. Yeah, wasn't for y'all. We point blank don't have a show probably still. YouTube would not be paying us at all. Facebook would not be paying us at all. None of them be paying us. But instead, they are paying us because they like us, because you like us. So,
Exactly.
all righty, let's get to our next guy here. Who this is probably one of the most intriguing running backs for me in this whole entire field. Listen, there's some guys that go into the big bruiser category. There's some guys who you look at the the category of like the speedy guys, but no, he's not. This guy doesn't fit in either one of those. And that's Raheem Sanders. Another guy who was drafted before our mock drafts as well, because I just think he pairs well with Tyrone Tracy. 22 years old, 6 foot even, 230 pounds, guys. That's a big boy at a running back position there. Was like I said, at South Carolina, started off his career at Arkansas, also called Arkansas some places. In 2021, 578 yards and 5 touchdowns. Then goes off in 22, 1,443 yards and 10 touchdowns. Has some injury issues in 23. Plays just 6 games. Has 209 carries. 209 yards. Trying to run through some issues. He had an early knee injury. He also had a more severe shoulder injury as well. So transfers, goes to South Carolina for that last season in 24. 183 carries here, 881 yards. That's a 4.8 yards per carry average, 11 touchdowns, 27 catches, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, 81.2 PFF grade. Now, those stats, guys, do not blow you out of the water. Let me be very clear on that. But sometimes you look at a player and you go, you know what? He's recovering from an injury. How many times we say with knee injuries, it takes a year or so to come back from it?
All the time.
I go back to the fact that as a sophomore, he was absolutely dominant in 22 in the SEC, playing for Arkansas. I look at the tape and what I see when I watch this kid play. And I'm telling you, absolute surprising speed coming out of a guy this big. Like, he's that guy that, you know what you say, like, he has no right to be that big and that's fast. Like, this is that kind of player. I'm telling you, like, it's absolutely insane how quick he looks when he hits the hole like that. He ran a 4.46 40, by the way, guys. That is not too shabby at all. And like I said, 230 pounds. It's a big back. You know, this is the guy that you can put on the goal line, or you can try to have him as every down back and see what he can do. And I feel like he might not disappoint there. I think he could be the surprise guy to come out of this draft, and people go, "Oh my God, why aren't we in on Sanders?" But he could also be the guy that the injuries he suffered in 23 did mess him up, and he's not as good as he used to be. And you're not going to know that because, you know, they say time heals all wounds. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Not to get all philosophical with you guys, but that's where I'm at with him. Again, great contact balance, good vision. He's a good receiver, though he does have a limited route tree. I feel like it's mostly like screens and short routes and stuff like that. He's not the guy to run the wheel routes and that kind of stuff. His cutbacks are definitely not very good at all. And he, like I said, he's not typically going to be a home run threat because that top end speed, while it's very impressive for the 230 pounds that he carries in that frame, is never going to beat out a guy that's like a corner or a safety or something like that. But he's just an old school running back. I love old school running backs. And again, you're going to take a risk of whoever gets him, but it's going to be a risk reward. Does he go back to what he was at Arkansas, or was the injuries kind of zap a little bit something that makes him special? I do see him going probably 4th round. I'm thinking.
Yeah, most likely. Just because kind of reminds me of Eddie Lacy. Looks like he's been heading up the Golden Corral.
I don't know. I don't think he's that fat. Eddie Lacy was like 250, 260. Eddie Lacy made Brandon Jacobs look small. I forget his exact weight, but oh my God, was it bad? It was too much. Let's see. I'm going to look it up real quick. Eddie Lacy weight. 253 pounds. So he had a good 22 pounds on him. Yeah. But, you know, he's going to be, let's see. I'm going to see if somebody else I want to compare him to weight-wise. Let me be very clear on that, weight-wise. But I want to look at something to verify that I am right before I say it. You know, he's a little lighter. I was going to say like a Derrick Henry, but Henry's 247. Got 15 pounds on him still. Like I said, he's going to be a little more old school. I like that. I feel like defenses have been doing, let's go small on the tight ends. Let's go. I mean, on the linebackers, let's go small. You get edge rushers that are like, would have been safeties in some cases here, like that kind of stuff going on. You got, just tinier defenses. Throw these big backs at them. Let them run down their freaking throats and regret that decision.
Yeah.
It's something I just feel like that no one's taking advantage of. Right? You need a big back to do it though. That's why Henry does what he does, because he's bigger than the guys who are hitting him now. He's got a 230-pound guy trying to take down a 247-pound guy. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
So
definitely when you get the committee backs, like he would be perfect just to bruise them up and then just put in the speedy guy right after. So fire up that defense.
Or keep him fresh, put him into the second half of the game.
Yeah.
He'd be that guy. All right, let's get a guy who's complete opposite. Trevor Etienne. Now, no, I did not say Travis Etienne. He plays for the Jaguars. That's his brother. They liked having a child so much they had another one. Crazy thought.
We have parents do that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So played at Georgia last year, 20 years old, so very, very young. 5'9", 205 pounds from Jennings, Louisiana. Started his career at Florida, 719 yards and 6 touchdowns as a freshman in 22. Was part of the SEC all-freshman team. 23, 753 yards, 8 touchdowns. At Georgia this past year, 122 carries. 5 yards per carry average, but only 609 yards because of the low carry count. 32 catches, 194 yards, 82.5 PFF grade. He's another guy that really never got a season where you saw a ton of carries there. So it does bring up some questions, but I mean, good vision overall, quick, tough runner, tougher than his size would suggest. Again, 205 is not exactly a bruising big back there. Very bad at pass protection. That's one thing, again, we talked about. A lot of rookies come in very bad at that, but that's going to need some work there. I think the biggest concern for me, I don't know if this would scare you off or not, Rob, but his durability. He's never carried more than 130 times in college. That would make me very hesitant to draft a guy like that and say, you know what, he's going to be my starter. As part of a system, sure, but I don't know if I trust a starter that never did that in college.
Yeah, you have to just besides his health issues, reliability, does he have the wisdom? So some of these other guys coming up, there's a lot too. I don't know. Talk about is he going to get hurt if you put him in there that much?
Yeah. Well, the wisdom thing you said is great too. I mean, because look at the playing time. You learn by doing things. Is he still more raw than even your average 20-year-old? Which is crazy that he's 20 years old coming out in the draft, that we drafted 25, 26-year-olds the last couple of years. But, I feel like
COVID.
This is the guy that you're getting young. You're getting him raw. You want to see if you can develop him because you see potential in things he's done at Florida and Georgia. And, you have to take some time. You are going to need probably a good mentor for him, I feel like, too. I feel like this is a good guy for somebody who has a good, a role model kind of player. I know we talked about Derrick Henry a couple of times during the show because, again, he's one of the best running backs in this league when you're doing comparisons. And I'm not going to compare Etienne to Henry, but I think Henry would be a great role model for him. You could put Etienne as a second running back kind of guy, a good change of pace to what Henry does because he's a speed guy. Give him a chance to kind of learn the ropes, so to speak, there. And then, obviously, let's be honest, I know we don't like to say these things sometimes because Derrick Henry has proven people wrong before, but he's 31 years old, guys. How much longer does he really have? And ATN could step in the next year or two at that point and take back over. But the part of the reason he's a mentor is he's made some bad decisions. He got arrested for a DUI and reckless driving in March last year. So that's, again, not this past March that we're in right now, this current March, I should say, but last year. So in 24. That's a sign of bad decision making, especially because that means he was 19 years old at that point. I like to say in the show all the time when these kids get in trouble that I did a lot of stupid things when I was younger, and I admit that freely. That is one thing I did not do, and I don't take too kindly to people doing. But 19, we all make mistakes. I'm not trying to say this kid's a bad kid or whatever, but he obviously needs a positive role model, and I think putting him in with a solid veteran is not the worst thing in the world you could do. Maybe even in like a place like Minnesota with Aaron Jones be a good spot for him too. Like that kind of spot to put him with a power back that's getting a little up there age-wise, and he can be a change of pace too. I think that'd be the good spot for him there. But I got him as an early day 3 pick, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I feel like he's probably gonna be like more of a mid 3rd round, drop a little bit, just because size. But yeah.
Well, I'm not saying 3rd round. I'm saying day 3 even. I'm thinking.
That's
right.
Right.
4th round and onward, he's going to go. I think. I think people are going to be scared off by the fact that they've never seen him be a lead back. They're going to see the potential, but not being a lead back is a scary thing when you're talking about a running back in a running back class loaded up with guys who have been lead backs.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. It's just one of those guys that I feel like it's a crapshoot pick. He could be great. He could be horrible. He could be average. Nothing would shock me.
There's just not enough film on him to actually get good knowledge of who he is.
Not steady film. That's for sure.
Okay.
All right. Let's get to a guy there is steady film on. That's for sure. That's RJ Harvey at a UCF. 24 years old. He's on the little older side there at that point. 5'9", 208 pounds from Orlando, Florida. Started his college career back in 2019. Was at Virginia, but he didn't get any playing time. He actually played quarterback there. He was a 3rd string quarterback in Virginia. That's where he also played in high school. Then 20, he transfers over to UCF, which is much closer to his home, obviously. Had 3 yards. That's it in 2020. Obviously learning. New role. 22, 796 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's some pretty good growth. 3 yards to 796 yards.
Exponential growth.
The scary thing is it's also very good next year, though, too. 23, 1,416 yards and 16 touchdowns. Then this past season, 24, 232 carries, 1,577 yards to 6.8 yards per carry average, 22 touchdowns, 20 catches, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an 85.1 PFF grade. He was a 3rd-team All-American this past season and 1st-team All-Big 12. So definitely back-to-back pretty good seasons after a guy who's just learning the position there the last couple of years there. Patient, great burst, natural instincts, which is, again, weird for somebody who really has only played a couple of years at the position. And another guy who ran a little angry for being a little guy there. Interesting part, too, he took a lot of direct snaps at UCF. Being, again, a former college quarterback, he's used to taking snaps. That's not a problem. But it's an interesting skill. You do see some guys like to use that occasionally. And I think there's a coach out there that's going to say, you know what? I like a guy I can just direct snap the ball to and do some trick plays. And this is a guy that I think fills that role, and I think he can play overall. And I think that's going to intrigue. Like, if there's a tiebreaker, that's a tiebreaker for some coaches. For some, they couldn't care less. But for some coaches, they'll go, you know what? That's a nice little skill I could throw into my offense, see what happens there. I do think he lacks top-end speed, though. Again, not the guy who's a home run threat, which is weird at 208 pounds. Like, that's kind of getting a little smaller on the running back side. You expect him to be a speedy guy. He's also bad at pass protection. Again, typical thing for rookie running backs coming to the league. And the other thing, he's a little older. And that's kind of a weird scenario in here because he's also learning the position, but he's also older. So usually a 24-year-old running back, you go, well, he is what he is now. Can you say that about a guy who didn't even start, really playing running back until 3 years ago?
No, he's still learning. Like, you look at what? 3,000, the 5,000% improvement from 1 year to double it the next year.
Without 1 year, especially 3 yards to 796 yards. But I mean, he showed a lot of confidence. His coaches showed a lot of confidence in him, gave him more time, kept giving him more control of the offense at that point and running the ball through him. And that's just a lot of what they thought about him, I feel like.
Yeah, he definitely, he knows the position, because, when you're under center, you have to know all the positions, how they work. And he took a lot of professionalism and learned that role pretty fast. So he could definitely be something in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be a day 3 pick as well. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to have a role player in this NFL somewhere in a system that, again, probably a guy that wants to utilize him at direct snap and thinks he's going to be good overall. But I don't think he'll ever be a workhorse back. That's just my gut. But
Yeah.
listen, I could be wrong. If you would have asked me last year if Bucky Irving and Tyrone Tracy Jr. would be the best running backs rookie-wise last year, I would have probably said no. So you just never know when to start playing. But he's the guy that legitimately is going to get a shot in the NFL to see what he can do. That's for sure. So,
yeah.
All righty. Let's get to a very interesting running back here. Another Jersey boy, by the way, here.
Jersey.
Quint Allen out of Syracuse, 20 years old, 6 foot even, 201 pounds, and went to high school in Millville, New Jersey. So 22, 274 yards and a touchdown. 23, 1,064 yards and 9 touchdowns. This past season, 228 carries, 1,021 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns, 64 catches, 521 yards, 4 touchdowns at 81.5 PFF grade. Let's be very clear that the biggest thing that sets him apart and makes him an intriguing prospect is the catching. It is the receiving aspect of what he does in his game. He's also very young, obviously, just 20 years old. He was second team All ACC this past season. He's an elite receiver for the running back position. And I don't just mean because he got 64 catches. I mean because he shows great hands when he catches the ball. He has good form. He catches, you see him eye the ball, take it in, bring it to his body, make the step then. He's not that guy that's dropping balls because he's trying to think of where he's going to. He's very, very comfortable in the receiver role and has a very good receiver route tree from the running back position as well. He's also a guy who loves the end zone. Like, let me wrong, they all love the end zone, but certain people just have a sniffer for the end zone. They just have that ability to find it. And if you give him the ball, you have confidence that he's going to do his best to get into it. And he's going to even excel and step up a little bit to get into it. And that's what he does usually. He's a better interior runner than you expect at his size as well. He's also very good as far as ball security. He is mixed as a pass blocker. Again, this is something that all running backs, rookie running backs, typically have to learn in the NFL. But he sometimes seems to read the defenses correctly, yet struggle to make the blocks. And I don't know what to take for that, Rob, because it's like, okay, you're there. You got it right. You saw it. You just couldn't accomplish it. So is that a coaching issue? Or is that just maybe he's not going to be the best pass blocker in the NFL?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because it could be column A, it could be column B. Like, you just
try all of column C.
All of column C. Listen, always put C for your answer. So, like,
I got the genie in my head now. Aladdin. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to like in his receiving game here. There really is. But he's not a home run threat guy. He doesn't have that top end speed. He struggles when teams stack the ball against the run on him. He wasn't on special teams at Syracuse. That's not to say he can't do it. But I don't think he's going to be anything more than maybe like a receiving back in this league. That's what I feel like he's going to be. And I feel like, again, we haven't seen it at Syracuse. But I feel like he's going to have to learn and work with somebody this offseason on kick returns and punt returns. And being that kind of player and providing something on special teams. Because I think that's where his role is going to be, as a receiving back and a guy that's going to go ahead and, be a guy that hopefully can contribute on some kind of way in special teams there. I kind of look at him like a guy like a Shane Vereen kind of guy. Remember we had him for a little bit there. Like, he was a better receiving back than he was a running back, which, again, I know sounds weird to say, but that's what he was. He would go out and get you on some seasons there, more yards receiving than catches. If you go back to his best years, his best years in the league were 13, 14, 15. And I happen to have the numbers here in front of me. He was averaging 430 to 500 yards receiving, yet he was only getting 200 to 400 yards rushing. Like, I feel like that's the kind of role he's going to have. But he's also, again, I think he's to really cut in the NFL, he's going to have to get some kind of special team ability, because that's what's going to make the difference between him and this other guy who they cut.
Yeah. If you can't be your number one, number two guy, in this league, and you're going to be in a committee, like you got to pick up some other positions when it comes to the running back. So, yeah.
Special team positions are key.
Yeah. You don't want to pick up guys just for special teams. We talked about this before. If you have
especially the Giants.
Yeah. But if
you got some of so far this offseason.
Yeah. You pick up a guy that can do multiple roles. That's the guy you want in special teams.
Yep.
Or be a backup.
So I do still have him going, I think, early day 3. I think he'll be like a 4th round pick is where I'm thinking. Because, again, I think somebody's going to be intrigued by the receiving abilities he has. And they're going to be intrigued overall by that, because some coaches, they want a guy who's specifically a catching back. That's what this guy is. He fits a role that I don't think other people fit quite as nicely as he does in this draft specifically. So it's kind of like in a loaded draft class of running backs, he may be the best as far as primarily a receiving running back. Taking out the guys that, like I said, were all around better than him, also could catch the ball. But as a guy that's just a receiving running back, he's probably that guy that's probably going to be that guy that, if you're penciling in for a 3rd down back, that could be your guy. So, yeah. All right. Next up, DJ Giddens. And listen, I really want to root for this kid. I really do. 21 years old, 6'1", 212 pounds. They're playing at Kansas State, originally from Junction City, Kansas. Liddy was a guy who came on as a walk-on and made it. Like, that's always impressive. I will always give people credit for that kind of stuff. First year in 22, 518 yards, 6 touchdowns. 23, 1,226 yards and 10 touchdowns. This past season, 205 carries, 1,343 yards, 6.6 yards per carry average, 7 touchdowns, 21 catches, 258 yards, 1 touchdown, 75.7 PFF grade. I got to say, the numbers of the touchdowns are actually very, very light, I thought. That's the first thing I thought when I saw the numbers. I'm like, this is light. Before I even got into watching the film, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. 8 touchdowns overall, receiving and rushing.
Yeah.
Seems a little light. This past year, he was 2nd team All Big 12. Very powerful back, runs well between tackles, has a great jab step. And for those who may not know what I mean by the jab step, when you take that fake step, like you're going to go to the left and then you move off to the right, or vice versa. That's what I mean by the jab step there. But he's got limited moves overall in open space. Great yards after contact. Again, lacks home run speed. That seems to be a kind of a trend. This is like old school running back kind of draft class here. Inconsistent hands and routes. Bad pass protection technique, but is a willing blocker. Like, he'll go for the block. He just doesn't quite seem to know what he's doing. It's kind of sad way of putting it. It makes him look like a child like that. He just tries hard. Here's a participation trophy. But he does. You could see him physically putting his body there to do it. He just doesn't seem to have the right form, not setting his feet right, not lowering his hips at that point to push up as he does it there. Like, he doesn't have the form he needs. So I'm kind of curious to see that sudden that people think they can train into him at that point, because he's showing the willingness to do it. But like I said, anybody goes from a walk-on in college to be an NFL prospect, huge amount of credit for him there.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, again, powerful back, bad at pass protection, inconsistent hands. That screams to me a guy, again, like a part of that, stable of running backs that you want to have if you want to play that kind of game there. As far as the running game is, get a couple of guys to fill that role combined. He's a guy that's going to be your short yardage back, your goal line back, your tough down back, your guy that is going to play that kind of role. And I feel like from everything I've seen on him on interview tapes and stuff like that, he's going to be also a guy you're going to like having in the locker room. It takes a special kind of personality if you're going to walk on NFL prospect, but it's not just that. It's when you look at the way he talks, he's a guy that I think is going to be a leader somewhere. He may not lead based on what he does in the field, meaning he's never going to be a star. Sometimes your guys that are the vocal leaders aren't the stars. And it sounds weird because you kind of expect, the quarterback could be the star. Oh, that star running back will be the star. Oh, that top flight receiver, that edge rusher. No, sometimes it's the guys like the backups that just have that ability to lead people. Leading people and being a great player are two different things entirely. There's plenty who can do one, not the other, on both directions. Looking at you, Aaron Rodgers. Who said that?
Wait a minute
here. So, yeah, I think round 4, round 5, I think probably more likely round 5 is where he's going to go. But like I said, I think someone's going to give him a shot, and I think he's that guy that could carve out a role, even though he'll never be a stud.
That's fair to say.
Yeah. All right. We got 2 more to go here. Next one is not a character from Toy Story.
Or any other film.
Woody Marks from USC, 24 years old, guys. 5'10", 208 pounds, went to high school in Atlanta. Started off his career at Mississippi State, the state for extra letters. 2020, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. 21, 416 yards and 6 touchdowns. 22, 582 yards and 9 touchdowns. 23, 573 and 4 touchdowns. So, yeah, not a bad college running back there, but never got that lead back kind of role. So he transfers over his last year, USC, and gets that role. 198 carries, 1,333 yards, the 5.7 yards per carry average. 9 touchdowns, 47 catches, 321 yards, and an 83 PFF grade. Now, he was second team All Big Ten. I do look, though, at some of what he is playing, and I look at who USC plays on a regular basis. And obviously, some of those West Coast teams, let's be honest, guys, West Coast teams are better known for amazing offenses, not always amazing defenses. So, sometimes you got to take a little bit of the numbers with a little bit of grain of salt there. Very patient runner. He's got good short burst. Good receiver. He caught over 80 balls one season. He's a little bit older, so you got to consider that until he's 24 years old. So how much room for growth is there really in that? Balance issues, strength issues. But overall, again, this is a guy like we talked about earlier with Allen out of Syracuse. This is a guy you're looking at if you need a receiving back specifically, a guy that's just going to come out of the backfield and catch the ball. You're going to bring in obvious passing downs, let him run nice routes and catch the ball. So he can do that. And then occasionally throw him in as a running back too as well. What the hell? Why not while you're at it?
Yeah.
But we can't all be stars in this league.
Some
people need to be role players, and that's the role for him, I think. And he'll be a day 3 pick at some point. But I just don't know where exactly he's going to go because it all depends on how much people want to value the receiving aspects of a running back.
I mean, they have their position. I think he's going to go way later in this draft.
Yeah.
He has talent for his niche, but that's it. Like he's that catch and pony, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a one-trick pony, but
if he was 21 years old and had that season, I could have a little more faith. When you're 24 and it took you, your 5th year to get to that, then I'm going to question a little bit.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah.
Completely fair.
Because have you maxed out now?
Is that all you got?
Hit me with your best shot.
Say, hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
Honestly, that's where I'm at with him. I just don't know if what I'm looking at is a legit NFL player long term. But I think somebody, again, will give him a shot as a receiving back in this league.
Yeah.
So. All righty. One last guy. Montrell Johnson. Not to be confused with Montel Williams. From played at Florida, 22 years old, 5'11", 216 pounds from Nolens. Gotta say it that way. Nolens. Not New Orleans, Nolens. I do love that city. Started off his career in Louisiana in 21, 838 yards, 12 touchdowns, Sun Belt Freshman of the Year, and second team All Sun Belt. Then transfers over to Florida. Obviously, Florida's facing a little bit tougher competition than Louisiana is. 22, 841 yards, 10 touchdowns. 23, 817 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, keep in mind, at this point, he is splitting carries. As we said, ETN was there at that point there. So he's splitting carries with him, being more of the bruising back, ETN being the fast back. And it was a nice 1-2 little combo for them at that point there. Because they had about 1,500, 1,600 yards between the two for those 2 seasons. So this past season saw actually a drop in production, 100 carries, 593 yards, 5.9 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns, 13 catches, 64 yards. Again, not a very high catch, yardage per catch there, that's for sure. 72.6 PFF grade overall. And this year, he was literally part of a 3-headed, I don't know if you say tandem, but a trio of running backs that Florida used running the ball there. So I do think this is going to hurt him big time because you see a drop off in, your input to a team on the last year that you're going to be in the college system. That's an issue.
Yeah.
I want to see your best tape your last year, not your worst tape.
Yeah. Like if he was that good, he wouldn't be surrounded by 2 other guys.
Yeah. Either that or 2 other guys are just as good as well with him. Either one's a possibility, but I can tell you which one I have to bet on.
Yeah.
Good vision, runs through contact, good between tackles, but he lacks home run speed. He will not win in the open field. This is not a fast, agile guy, guys. He also loses balance at times. I've seen him a couple of times where I won't say Daniel Jones did, where he's just falling down on his own, but there's a couple of times where he's trying to bounce off a hit, and you see him just kind of bounce off but still fall down because he just doesn't have that balance right. He does make some big plays, though. So his highlights are very impressive to watch. I'm going to say this, and I think I'm going to get some slack for saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway. He's the Bryce Ford Wheaton of running backs. What I mean by that is his highlight reels are really good, guys, when you watch it. But it's literally always great plays.
Yeah. Literally, you watched the trailer to a movie that gave you away.
I was about to say.
Movie.
I was about to say exactly that. How many times you
watched
watch
45 seconds of a trailer and got an hour and a half of what the movie entails?
How many times you watch a trailer, especially for comedy, and they give you all the best lines for the comedy right in the trailer? Yeah. Like that's what he is. So to me, like I said, it's just not enough highlights for me. And I mean, literally, he had one game. He ran 7 times for -7 yards this season. I do think someone's going to see something in his highlight reels, and they're going to go, "Oh, it's coaching. Oh, he can do it. Oh, we can fix this." And someone's going to, I don't want to say fall in love, because you don't fall in love with the guy you draft in like the third day of drafting players. You've already passed them up many times. You don't pass up people you love. But I would say people are going to fall in intrigue. Is that a thing? They're going to fall in intrigue with him because of what he can do highlight wise there. And I think he'll be a mid-third day pick, like a 5th, 6th round kind of guy at that point, that someone's going to try to, you know what? Let's just take him. Let's see what we got. We got a spot available in the running back room. Let's see what we can do with him. But I don't think he's going to be long for the NFL, to be very frank with you. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm not trying to wish anything ill upon him, because I don't wish ill upon anyone. It's just what I see in film. I'm just not that impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be designated to a practice squad somewhere. But
yeah, it's very possible. That's very possible. But we'll have to see. Time will tell. Again, I've been wrong before. Would not be the first time. Maybe only the second or third time, but it wouldn't be the first time.
For the first time, for the last time.
For once in my life. All righty, guys. Well, that's going to end it here for day 1 of running backs, guys. We have another episode coming on Wednesday for you guys, which will be day 2 of the running backs. Really, I said we're gonna go over 30 running backs in these 2 days here for you guys overall, because there's literally that many running backs coming out that are intriguing, interesting, and guys that are get a little bit of buzz there to talk about. So we'll get back to you with that, and we'll also give at that point our final rundown on our running back board as far as how we're going to rank these guys. There's 30 guys to start ranking here. So like I said, this is somewhat in order here, but there'll be some adjustments made there because we did put a couple of guys to day 2 that are really day 1 kind of guys for us, but we wanted to go ahead and have some big names still to talk about tomorrow. Wednesday, I should say. So if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share, tell a friend about the show, damn it. Tell someone.
Tell someone, please, for the love of God, just tell someone.
We'll be back again, like I said, Wednesday if you guys here for the next episode. There, we're continuing doing the rest of the running backs in this draft that we want to talk about here, and of course from there we will move on to wide receivers on Thursday as well. So guys, if you're into draft coverage, we are going to be the show for you for the next month or so, at least. Even if you're not a Giants fan, you're going to watch this show and learn about players that are coming out of this draft. It's funny because like I've literally talked to people before that watch our show on a regular basis in the past years within the draft, and they've told me I feel like I'm better prepared for the draft than ever. I know who some of these players are that I never knew going into these drafts before because I watched the show. So you could be one of those guys. So when Monday morning comes around for water cooler talk, you go, what about this player? Oh, well, I learned about this player.
I know
we will go over that many players. So again, guys, we will see you guys on Wednesday. Appreciate you guys. As always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whatever. Why I keep messing it up? We're not a left and right candy bar, okay? Twitch, X/Twitter, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we are available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms, as well as Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. If you haven't already, hit the like, subscribe, both places, guys. The more places you hit the like and subscribe, the more happy the world is going to be as a whole. I cannot guarantee that, but that's my theory. That's my theory.
Sounds good.
That sounds right, exactly. So appreciate you guys for watching as always. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.